Good. You're good.
All right, I will call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to our Williamsport City Council meeting. It's Thursday, May 8th. We're in Trade and Trade's 2/3 floor. Please rise for the invocation followed by the flag salute. Lord, we come before you tonight with humble hearts and open minds. We give thanks for the privilege to serve this community we love. As we gather to address the matters before us, grant us wisdom that exceeds our understanding and patience that surpasses our natural inclinations. In these challenging times for our city, help us fix our gaze forward rather than backward. The past has its lessons, but the future holds our promise. Guide us to learn from yesterday without being imprisoned by it. In the face of unprecedented challenge, we ask for the gift of humility, to recognize that none of us alone has all the answers, but together with your guidance, we might find the path forward. Teach us to value the power of collaboration over division, to seek common ground rather than fortify our differences. When words threaten to divide us, grant us the courage to choose language that heals and unites instead. May our deliberations tonight reflect the thoughtfulness rather than hate, respect rather than rancor, and may we remember that behind every decision we make are the lives of neighbors, friends, and families who call Williamsport home. Help us to be mindful that true leadership is measured not by the volume of our voices, but the integrity of our actions and the sincerity of our service. We ask that you guide our thoughts and words and fill this chamber with a spirit of cooperation and goodwill. Amen. There's no flag. All right. Well, hey, we'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Huh? Yeah, I didn't either. All right, item 3, approval of city council meeting minutes from April 24th, 2025. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Comments, questions, revisions to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none. Mrs. Frank on item 3.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
yes,
Mr. Ryder,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0, almost at 6. Item 4, limited courtesy of the floor. No request tonight, Janice.
No, none.
We'll jump around here just for a minute. Item 9, we have a land development at 600 Campbell Street. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Nar, I'll welcome you to the podium, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, President Yoder, Vice President Biter, members of council. What I present to you tonight is a land development request for Fire Tree. It is located at 600 Campbell Street. It's within the residential zoning district. What they are requesting is to construct a 10,161 square foot building, as well as doing an addition to the existing building of 912 square feet and an accessory structure of 1,728 square feet. It was reviewed by Bill Scott, Stormwater Authority for the stormwater. It was reviewed by county. You do have county's comments here. Again, it's part of their expansion of what they're doing. There'll be a driveway. They do have adequate parking. They do have handicap parking. And again, it went through both planning, county planning, as well as Stormwater Authority and Bill Scott, city engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Nar. Are there any comments or questions on item 9 by members?
Just a quick comment about Fire Tree. They provide a great service to the community, and this is going to allow them to continue to provide that service at a higher level.
Correct.
I'd second that. Grateful for them very much so. Any other comments or questions related to item 9? Hearing and seeing none. Mrs. Frank on item 9.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
yes,
Mr. Ryder,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 10, we have a subdivision for 913 Summit Road. Motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Nar.
Yes, what it is a request from Barbara and Mike Hudak, 913 Summit Hill Road. What they're requesting is to do a lot subdivision of 7,247 square feet. Basically, if you look at the drawing, when they purchased a home, they realized that the neighboring property had a shed and part of their driveway was on their property. So We don't normally see this, but amicably, they've decided basically to subdivide that and add it to the neighbor's property so that they have their own access to their driveway. And it cleans up this as far as the subdivision. It was reviewed by county as well as planning and gave positive recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Nar. Any comments or questions from members on the subdivision? Hearing and seeing none, then Mrs. Frank on item 10?
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder,
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 11, we have a demolition at 33 East Third Street. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Second?
Mr. Nar?
Good evening again. What this is a request for 33 East Third Street. Wood Real Estate Development, Inc. is requesting to demo that. They will be required to grass and seed it within 6 months if they don't have a current land development plan brought forward. But they are requesting to demo it at this time. It's extremely, obviously inside is getting deteriorated and things of that nature. The outside obviously is peeling paint. It's within the central business district and they are requesting to demo it.
Okay. Any comments or questions from members? I believe we have a representative somewhere, if there are questions.
Mr. Conway.
Are there any comments, questions from members? Mr. Pelisi?
I have a question and maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Demoing the building, I can understand that given the structure of it, the condition of it. Are you able to speak to any idea of what you're looking to put in its stead?
So we have a contract with Steinbacher Demolition.
Mm-hmm.
We got some asbestos abatement to take care of there. Once that building's demoed, we're going to just seed, we're gonna soil and seed that whole lot.
Mhm.
So it'll turn into a grassy area just like the rest of the lot over there.
Okay. Do you have any idea of what commercial development you're gonna put in place of that building?
Oh, no, we don't have, so the bank got acquired by Northwest.
Mhm.
And that acquisition is gonna take place the 25th of July.
Mhm.
And at their request, they want this building demoed, which we had planned a couple years ago. Now we're just getting to it. We put it off for a little bit. But now it's time to pull the trigger.
Okay. I appreciate it. I only ask because obviously, we want as much
Yeah.
viable commercial development within our city limits as we can, especially in our downtown.
Yeah, I understand. Yep.
So, okay. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome. Oops.
Adam,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mrs. Katz?
The question I have is, that used to be the old Eagle Club, then it was 33 East, the restaurant. It did have, the building did have some really viable things that were in there. But now that it's gonna be torn down and with no plans of anything, that is a huge block and nothing but grass. We've waited for years for somebody to take over the plot that's on the corner there. And is that still owned by the bank? Is that what you said?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and it would be nice if there were some plans made with this because everybody is trying to build up that end of town. And now to knock down that building, it's one grassy knoll, that's all there is to it. So I think we would
Yeah.
all see a business.
Yeah, and I do know the intent of Northwest Bank is to put that block up for sale.
It's a great corner. It would be fantastic, so hopefully it comes through.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments. I mean, that's prime real estate downtown. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. So I'm really happy to hear that it sounds like the expectation of the bank is that they're going to offload that
Correct.
to a developer. I think that demoing this helps that effort. It'd be really great to kind of get some communication, I think, from the bank one, maybe what that timeline looks like. And I know you're representing the bank, et cetera, but Gary, if there's any kind of feedback we can get on what that timeline looks like, get an understanding of maybe if there's anything we can do to facilitate whatever it may be. There's a good plot of land there. It'd be great to see that developed sooner than later. It takes time, but
Yeah, and we actually have a pretty good lot beside that as well, which was the old transit station. So like I said, I know the intent of Northwest Bank is to unload that
Yeah.
property, but I'm not here representing.
I understand.
Northwest Bank, just Pennswoods right now. So,
I understand.
yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Allison?
Just a comment. I realize the need to take the building down since it's not viable anymore, but that is a very iconic building. From way back in the city.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame. Different entities have tried to make it viable and make it feasible to repair it, but it's never, nothing's really taken hold there for a long period of time. So there's always a time to bid farewell to older things, but it was a great building in its time.
Yeah, and I agree. I know when we took that building over, I think it might have been 4 or 5 years ago. It wasn't in great shape to begin with at that point, just
Right.
from the change of hands and no one really investing in it and
No,
upkeep, there was just a lot financially that needed to go into the restoration of that building. And from our standpoint, it just didn't make sense to us.
Yeah. totally understand.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Any other comments or questions? Ms. Mealy?
I was also dismayed to see this on the agenda. That block contained not just that historic structure, but a series of historic row structures further down that were demolished by Jersey Shore State Bank about 10 or 15 years ago. More like 20 years ago, I think now, if I remember right. And at the time, with no offense intended to your line of reasoning, it was much the same. The bank said, well, the buildings are in deplorable condition, but they turned out to have owned them for 20 years. And so it was pretty obvious who had let them get there. Yeah, that said, while I know it's a relatively ineffective mechanism, I'll be voting no on this tonight. There are a handful of structures in Williamsport that I feel truly represent a chunk of Williamsport's history and are relatively iconic architecturally, and this building is one of them. And buildings get into bad shape, but as we've discovered with our own city hall, no matter how bad a shape they get into, they are often better buildings than the buildings that we would replace them with. I was exceptionally sorry to see this come before us. I had hoped for better for that one. Thanks, Adam.
Understood. Any other comments or questions from members? All right. Hearing and seeing none, then Mrs. Franklin, item 11, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes,
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
Yes,
Ms. Mealy,
No.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-1. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll move to item 12, demolition for 615 Market Street. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Nar?
What we have before you obviously is 615 Market Street. It is a property that was blighted and it went through the legal process. Blighted basically put it on the blighted property list. At that point, it was voted that they moved it to the RDA. The RDA did purchase it. Obviously, the roof, the structure, the interior was left go for years and years, again, because it was blighted. And at this point in time, they're requesting to demo it because it's just not feasible wise, structural wise, the roof's caving in order for it to basically be a viable property. So they're requesting to demo it.
Any comments or questions from members? Mr. Pelisi?
Adam?
Mrs. Katz?
yes. Gary, is this are these the buildings that are next to Coders Cleaners?
No, it is not. It is on
It's
Market
further.
Street next to the church.
Oh, to the church. Okay, up further. Okay,
It's the green building. If you drive by, you'll be able to see that the roof's almost caved in.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pelisi?
Thank you. Mr. Nord, I don't know if RDA is able to speak to what they propose to do with the lot once the building's torn down. And I don't know, and it's all right. I would just hope that this property would go back on the tax roll, seeing as how we continue to lose more and more of our viable tax roll revenue that we can't get back.
I'll let Mr. Mimi.
Yep. Hi, Skip.
Good evening, President Yoder and Council. The RDA's plan is to demolish that building within the next couple of weeks, if you so give us permission to do so. Ultimately, the property is surrounded completely by property owned by the church, both on both side lots and the rear lot. So it's a really small lot, and it is very awkward in topography. We're going to probably list it for sale, and depending on who acquires it, they may build on it. They may choose just to leave it a vacant lot. I don't know. I can't give you that answer. It is a health and safety issue that we're trying to rectify at this time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other comment, Ms. Mealy?
Skip, how much will the RDA have invested in the structure by the time the demolition is
By the
finished?
time demo's done, probably about $120,000 to $125,000.
So obviously the starting asking price of the property is over that, I would presume, right?
We
Right.
were
Are we,
the appraised value of the property, even before the appraiser got to go into the interior of it, was $23,300.
nonetheless, I think it would be appropriate for the RDA to attempt to recoup the money spent.
We're
on the
going to
structure.
try to do that
Okay.
through a purchase. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I would be reluctant to see us let it go and once again fall off the tax rolls.
The RDA board does not want to, they're willing to lose some money on the project, but they're hoping to recapture their funds and hopefully find a buyer that's willing to do something with it.
Right. Yeah, it'd be one thing if it were going to remain on the tax rolls, but I would hate to see it come off the tax rolls and for it to be a net loss for the RDA.
Mhm.
So, we'll look forward to an update on that. Thanks, Kim.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank on item 12.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you,
Thank you.
Skip. We'll jump to item 8 while you're up there, Gary.
What I have is a request from the Bureau of Codes in the city of Williamsport.
Hang on.
Resolution authorizing an agreement between the Williamsport Bureau of Codes and Stuckey Ford.
Is there a motion, a second?
So moved.
Second? Mr. Nari, go ahead, sir.
What this is the city and the Bureau of Codes is requesting to purchase a new code car. We have 6 in our fleet. In 2023, we purchased 4. We had originally put this in the capital budget several years ago, but it obviously was brought to our attention that we're going to move it to the ARPA funding. We have 2 older vehicles and we continue to have problems with the one. So we are requesting that a resolution be passed so that we can purchase a same thing, another Ford Edge that will almost complete our fleet. We do have a part-time street inspector and he has the other Chevy Cruze, but he does not put a lot of mileage on it. So we are going to keep that probably and continue on with the capital project for that property.
All right. Ms. Mealy, anything to add from finance on the resolution?
Relatively cut and dried. This was money that we set aside from ARPA funding last year, for the purchase. And, Gary assured us, in the course of the finance meeting that all these vehicles are quite heavily used. This, of course, will be his in particular.
Any other comments or questions from members? All right. Mrs. Frank, item 8 then.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Gary, thank you very
Yep,
much.
thank you.
Let's jump back up to item 5.
An ordinance transfer ordinance number 2 in final reading.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Livermore, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. This is the second reading of ordinance transfer number 2. This was to move $50,000 from the RVTA local share that we had budgeted for the local share into legislative contingency with the intent to put it towards what's next on the agenda for the FTA payments. We did discuss with RVTA that there was nothing left for the local share. So this is an abundance. So that's the plan.
Any comments or questions? This is second reading to clarify.
Mhm.
So. Thank you. All right.
No.
All right. Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Franklin, item 5.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Viter,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Item 6, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution authorizing payments 2 and 3 of FTA repayment plan to be paid from legislative contingency.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Ms.
Good
Livermore.
evening again. The resolution you have before you is the plan to pay the second and third FTA payment from legislative contingency. As we just discussed, we moved $50,000 into legislative contingency to hopefully to cover the majority of the payment. And the plan is to pay both of those payments from legislative contingency at this time. So we have a plan and we can make those 2 payments.
Anything to add, Ms. Mealy, from finance?
Just the financial discussion really revolved around how much money would remain in the legislative contingency fund, which is estimated to be about $20,000 at the end of these 2 transactions. And obviously we had started the year with 75,000 in that line item, most of which was promised or intended for various and sundry purposes. That is a place that we tend to put money when we think that we will have additional expenses toward X, Y, or Z, and we're just trying to keep it there until we know what those expenses are. That said, the Finance Committee, I think, encouraged the administration to figure out where these funds were coming from and to open a discussion with City Council if that's what's required. But in the end, it's an administrative move to transfer, to transfer funds into legislative contingency to cover the expenses we'd anticipated in that line. And additionally, the remaining $20,000 in legislative contingency is not going to touch the amount of money that we will eventually need to put toward payments to the FTA. So, so we're going to need to figure out a longer term plan. And I think the only way to make this a less pleasant transaction than it already is for all of us is to be having to have this discussion over and over again every month as we decide where we're transferring the funds from. For me, I would prefer to get that settled and at least make it something that we understand and the funds are allocated, and we don't need to have this conversation any longer until we, if we can figure out a different some sort of different modus for this later in the year, that would be terrific. But in the meantime, I would prefer that we know where the money's coming from.
Yep, agreed.
So I believe that was the bulk of the conversation during council. I know that we have multiple other expenditures that may be needing to come from legislative contingency sometime in the next couple of months. And so I think we need to get that squared away ASAP. That's not something that can wait until the 4th payment is in line before we can make that decision. We need we need to refill the legislative contingency dollars somehow or another here shortly. That was all, Adam.
Here. Anything to add from other members? Mr. Pelisi, sorry, I was thinking, Ms. Mealy, my bad.
It's got to be the color of the.
I like.
It's the haircut, Vince. It's the haircut.
I'm sorry, Liz, I wasn't able to hear everything that you'd said. Did you mention that Finance Committee has already inquired from the administration where these additional funds are going to come from, and we don't know yet?
Right.
We have a couple options that I think the mayor would like to put in front of you guys that for discussion before we are sure of anything. That's my understanding.
Okay. I
Okay,
think we'll be ready to hear those whenever he's ready to
Mhm.
bring them forward.
Yeah.
So we're on his timeline.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Vince.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the clarification. Ms. Mealy, something I'd add?
Well, just, not that I have actually had time to look at it yet, Jamie, but I'm pleased to see a general fund budget status report in our
Mhm.
inbox.
Yeah, and I do have a paper copy for everybody as well, because I wasn't sure if everybody
Okay.
would get it electronically,
Okay.
so I did bring that.
Um,
And I
no, but
I
that's-
hope
we-
that
we-
that
I
would
don't think
be,
we've ever really gotten that before. Well, no, that's not true. We did back in the way day,
Yeah.
Randy, huh?
We did under Joe Poplock. He was pretty consistent about that since I've been on council at least.
Okay.
And I remember when he transitioned out of the city, that's whenever it stopped. And since he left, to be candid in defense of Jamie, you know.
Oh, yeah, right.
Between Joe and Jamie, there's been a lot of transition in that office. And so I'm glad to see that pick up because frankly, like we need that, notably with the expectation of going into this year. It's gonna give us a really good picture of where we're trending,
Mhm.
et cetera.
yep, I
So-
wanted to make sure to get that to you guys as soon as possible. I just had to do some adjustments to from 25 to 24. And upcoming, the audit will be on the next city council meeting for 2022. So things are rolling, moving, going. We have
Good. most
most of 23's audit, initially prepared. So we're on our way. We just
That's
keep
fantastic.
working forward.
Hey Janice, can I request that you put the budget report on the next finance committee meeting agenda? Is that okay, Jamie? And then we'll
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
The audit and the general fund budget
Yep.
at the same time. Thank you.
Good, very good. Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Franklin, item 6, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes, reluctantly.
Mrs. Katz,
Same here, reluctantly, yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Jamie, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Item 7, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution to approve Livick Civil for professional engineering services to design streetscape improvements along West Third Street.
Is there a motion and a second?
So move.
Second, Mr. Scott, welcome, sir.
Good evening, Council President Yoder, members of council. Resolution to present for your consideration. This resolution authorizes the award of professional services agreement to Lydic Civil for engineering services to design the streetscape along West Third Street. The limits are from Hepburn Street going west, approximately 150 feet. This area is in front of Jackass Brewery and I believe Puffin Stuff. It'll do both sides of the street in that area. The scope of work improvements include brick and concrete sidewalk, ADA curb ramps, concrete curb, thermoplastic crosswalks, street trees, and period style streetlights. The engineering task will be task 1. Preliminary engineering for 21,000, task 2, final design for 9,000, task 3. We need a highway occupancy permit because that is a state road in that area. That's $7,000, and task 4, bidding and construction support for $8,000, which gives a total lump sum not to exceed figure of $45,000. This project is funded by a Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED grant, multimodal grant that we received.
This also went to finance. Ms. Mealy, anything to add?
Yeah, well. First, I would like to point out the irony that didn't occur to me on Tuesday, Bill, that we are spending $7,000 or $8,000 given to us by the state in order to meet the state requirements to occupy the roadway to do the work. I don't know why that didn't kick in on Tuesday, but sorry, there's some small bureaucratic absurdity there that I felt like we had to acknowledge. Anyway, $7,000 out of $200,000, and that's the problem. It's 3.5% of the total allocation we're paying directly back to the state for our highway act, or we're paying so as to get permission from the state to do the work in the first place. Okay, that said, Yeah, so we received on I believe you said it was a $2 million initial application, Eric, for streetscape from Center Street, from Center Street, excuse me, to Hepburn Street. We received a $200,000 allocation this round. In hopes that DCED will see fit to give us further funding to complete the project, we are moving as quickly as we can to complete this portion of the project. I think we can all acknowledge that it probably would have been cheaper to do it in one fell swoop. That said, this is where we're at. So this is what we're doing. It would have only been one highway occupancy permit instead of 3 or 4, it sounds like. But we can get about halfway down the block between Hepburn and Elmira on 3rd Street with these funds. And we are going to start by addressing, basically moving backwards from the CBD into the new CBD with that funding. That area we recently designated as additional central business district, 4 or 5 years ago now. All in all, I think it is a positive thing. And I would say that I think we have some of the largest pedestrian safety issues in that chunk of the block. We discussed the pull-in area for what's currently a vape store, a tobacco store, whatever that is, across the street from the Jackass Brewery. And right now it's basically about 100-foot long pull-in area where you can pull in and park, which obviously creates issues with pedestrians attempting to walk across that whole stretch. This will take care of making it a one entry, and then you drive down, park, and then you pull back out. So we'll achieve we will make some changes to pedestrian safety in that block, which I think will be a good thing for the city. But that said, otherwise, we anticipate this project being within budget. We certainly hope so. And then we hope that DCED will see fit to fund the remainder of that 2-block stretch.
Any other comments or questions for members? All right. Mrs. Frank on item 8, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
We'll jump to item 13, except for filing water sanitary authority minutes from March 26, 2025. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments, questions on the minutes for filing? Hearing and seeing none. Mrs. Frank on item 13.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Katz,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Bider,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Item 14, announcements. I'll first announce we're gonna have a brief executive session following the meeting related to items of litigation. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting will be on Thursday, May 22nd, 7 p.m. here in Trade and Transit 2, 3rd floor. Upcoming meetings, Thursday, May 15th, 10:30 in the morning, zoning hearing board. Tuesday, May 20th, 11:30 a.m., public safety. 1 p.m. Finance Committee, 2:30 p.m. Public Works, 6:30 p.m. Historic Architectural Review Board. Wednesday, May 21st, 9 a.m. Economic Revitalization, 10 a.m. Blighted Property. Thursday, May 22nd, 7 p.m. City Council meeting. I'll also announce on Tuesday, May 27th at 7 p.m., we will have a special meeting here at Trade and Transit 2, 3rd floor. To educate the public and city council about the home rule form of government. We would encourage citizens to attend. It's something that I think we've somewhat openly talked about throughout numerous meetings here the past probably 6 months. So this is a way for us to, I think, formally explore this, educate ourselves, and educate the public of it a little bit. So that's happening May 27th. We're excited. Hope you will join us. Are there comments from members of the public? Are there comments from members of council?
Adam, I have something.
Yes, Mrs.
Okay.
Katz.
This is for the Veterans Park. Memorial Day is coming up at the end of the month. We have still another council meeting to announce this, but for people to realize that they're going to be having a service there, May 24th. It's a Saturday at 11 a.m. and it should last about an hour.
Yeah.
And the other thing with this, they still haven't gotten the cameras. So we have to figure out where the cameras are. I thought they were getting their cameras from ARPA.
Thank you, Mrs. Katz. We can ask the administration to look into that. But I would echo your sentiments about the service event they have on the 24th. It's an outstanding event. That park is a jewel, not just for the city, but in terms of, I think, veterans parks across the country. And it's a amazing service that just really humbles you, I think moves you. And whether in any shape, it's beautiful. And I would encourage everybody to attend if they're able to. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Any other comments from members of council? Any comments from the administration? Nobody. I don't see anybody from the news media. Motion a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you all, everybody.